Click, click, boom. What's going on, faithfuls? The Nothing But Niners crew is back, guys. Listen, the Super Bowl is over. Talk about a hangover. It might be one of the hangovers from the worst kind of ways, but we're going to get to all of that stuff. We have to go through a couple of formalities before we do, guys. I want to thank you guys for checking us out here on this YouTube page. If this is your first time here and you enjoy the show, you like the content, make sure you do us a favor and hit that like button, okay? Also, you're going to want to make sure you subscribe and you turn on your notifications as well. That's going to let you know every time we're going live. We give you video updates and we post them as early as possible so you know when they're coming up. Sometimes there's impromptu videos such as breaking news and things like that. So make sure you have your notifications turned on as well. Hit us up on a couple of social media platforms as well, guys. We have a Twitter and our Snapchat handles. Those are Nothing But 9 ERS. Again, that is Nothing But the number 9 ERS, and that's Twitter and Snapchat. You can also give us follows on our Instagram as well as our Facebook pages. That community on Facebook is vast. So is the Instagram page. They're growing rapidly. So make sure you're not one of the last ones over there, guys. It is Nothing But Niners. That is spelled all the way out with spaces in between, so you can hit us up on both of those avenues. We have a website for you guys. We actually have two, but we're going to get you one right now, www.nothingbutniners.com. That's going to be your one-stop shop for any and everything 49ers by us here at Nothing But Niners. You got articles, you got the podcast, you've got videos, you have a page dedicated to the faithful out there. When you guys send us your images, we put them all up there for you guys, so it's one big happy shop, okay? And speaking of shop, guys, you also have shopnbniners.com. Again, that is shopnbniners.com. We're going to have a bunch of apparel for you guys coming out there, man. And I'm going to stop right there because there was supposed to be other apparel that we're just never, ever going to release because our 49ers lost the freaking Super Bowl. And so to grieve with me today is my guy, Nick. He is 49er Faithful 365. What's going on, homie?
What up, what up, what up? Bang, bang, not a gang.
He looked like he's still down in the dumps. My man, Breezy, what about you, man? How you feeling over there?
What's good, Faithful, man? I'm feeling the same way I was feeling on Super Bowl Sunday. I'm still confused as a mug, bro. Like, something ain't adding up, man. It's just not adding up, and I'm glad we could talk about it. Y'all don't mind me. My throat is hurting, so if you don't hear me yelling, it's because I got to drink some more Jack Daniel honey. So that will be on the set for tonight.
I'll drink to that. All right, guys, so there's a lot to go over. We're going to reflect on a couple of things here, man. Let's start with the Super Bowl in general, guys. We have had time to walk away. We reacted in halftime. We overreacted following the game. Has any of you guys, either one of you, have your feelings changed a little bit at all? Have you accepted it? It's a grieving process, but how do you guys feel about it, man? What are your thoughts on all of this?
I mean, me personally, I just, like I said, man, there's a ton of things to dig into, but ultimately what it boils down to for me is going away from the bread and butter in this game with 6 minutes left, not running the football. Why? I have no clue. We're averaging 5 to 5.8 yards per carry. And it was our bread and butter that got us there all year, and we just completely abandoned it. We ran the ball 7 times in the second half. Like, to me, that's just, I don't know why. I don't know the reasoning. I don't care about the reasoning. You're up by 10 with 6 minutes left in the game, and you just don't run the football. And to me, that made no sense. So that is what's kind of holding on to me right now, because I feel that if we would have ran the football, it would have been a different outcome. But yeah, people are going to blame it on calls and penalties and all that, and which some of them were horrible, but I'm the type of person that you don't want to put the game in the ref's hands anyway. And that's exactly what we did by going down and, completely abandoning the run. So that's my thoughts on it so far.
You talked about how we abandoned the run, and you said something that I hadn't heard yet. I knew that we didn't run it a lot, but 7 times in the second half?
Yeah.
They ran it on every first down, Mike, and got 5 yards. Every first down they ran, it got 5 yards, and then went to the pass. Forced 3 and outs.
We had 17 rushes in the first half, and we were averaging 5.8 yards per carry, and we went to 7 times in the second half.
It was like they were lost, like deer in headlights. I don't know if they couldn't. I don't know. It doesn't make sense. It for me. I agree with Nick. I agree with all the fans out there. I don't need stats to tell me that in the fourth quarter with a 10-point lead and 6 minutes to go, you run the damn football. Like, I don't need a stat to tell me that. I know that's common sense. So it's got to be something bigger than conspired than what we know it is, yo, because none of it makes any sense whatsoever. for a football team that played this way all season to literally abandon something that was, like you said, the bread and butter. It was what made this team successful. It was what opened up passing lanes for the play action pass and all those different types of things. And you want to put the game on your quarterback's hand. It's not like the game was close. We were up by 10. So why not run the ball, force them to use timeouts, find ways to get first downs? It was just that game. It was just that game. It didn't make any sense. And we've seen it once before, maybe twice before in the season when we did the same thing. One of those times is when we played Atlanta. And it was like we didn't want to run the ball. We threw the ball and fumble happened. And then when we decided to run the ball, fumble happened. So it was just, I don't know, guys. It was like, it seems like to me, if I was looking at any type of conspiracies or whatever like that, it'd be like, damn, he gave his boy a pass in the Atlanta game, and he gave Andy Reid a pass in this game. Because ain't no way in the heck they lost this game, bro. Even though they did. It just doesn't make sense. Yeah. There's nothing else I could talk about other than that. I don't care about refs. I don't care about calls. I don't care about plays. That's the only thing that makes sense in my head, and I'm going to rock with it the whole show.
To me, there's two things I take from this. One, like I said, not running football, time management was horrible. We saw it at the end of the first half, not calling a timeout. Being able to get those 3 points on the board that we were talking about in the first half, right? So just time management there. You're going in, you got the ball at 9 minutes, right? You give it up with 47 seconds, 3 and out, right? They drive down, they get points, whatever. You get the ball back with 6 minutes. The one thing that running the football does is when it's successful is A, it keeps the clock running, and B, you move the chains, right? So we were running the football on first and second down, especially with Debo. Debo didn't touch the ball in the second half.
They went away from that.
Completely
went away from that.
He had a 17-yard, approximately a 17-yard gain, a 20-something yard gain.
It went away from it, yo. It didn't make sense.
I'm trying to tell you. And what it boils down to me for is this. Do you remember when Kyle Shanahan said, when he talked about getting George Kittle the record, right? And we all sat there and thought about it and said, now he goes to George Kittle consistently, getting him the ball, getting this, what? Was this something that Kyle Shanahan said, I'll show you that Jimmy Garoppolo can do this on his own, and stuck with pass plays to prove something about Jimmy Garoppolo? Or why did he go away from it? It'll be hard to sit here and say, I'm not saying that he did or he didn't, but I'm asking the question. Did he, because of the fact that everybody was down on Jimmy Garoppolo, it was the whole talk throughout the whole media week, and, can Jimmy Garoppolo carry this team? Can he do this? Can he do this? Now, I see a lot of people talking about the overthrown pass, and we'll win if we get that. Look, all that doesn't matter, because at the beginning of the half, that whole second half, we just completely went away from our complete game. And that's what's making me sick. That's really what's making me sick.
So there's a couple of things to look at. I saw you post this in here. I do want to acknowledge it. We're going to get to this kind of stuff later on. We're going to keep with the flow of the show right now, but thank you for the contribution. We will discuss about whether or not we re-sign Sanders. Actually, some stuff came out today, so that'll be on the docket for later this evening. So again, thank you. I don't want you to think that we didn't see it or we're ignoring it. All right. So it's easy to say that we should have kept running the ball because we lost, right?
Right.
Because if you go back and you look at some of these plays, Kittle was wide open.
Chris Jones just made a play, bro.
Chris Jones is either knocking it down or Jimmy's checking it down. There was 2 plays I saw Kittle wide open that he threw it to someone else, right? One of them was a running back. I think it was Tevin Coleman. He didn't get the first down. That was it. There's another play where
Emmanuel Sanders was open in the flat.
Right. There were really good play calls here, and either Jimmy didn't see it, he didn't see the right guy, or he flat out missed him. We talk about the Emmanuel Sanders, the route down the middle of the field where he's beating double coverage, right? If these throws are completed, we're not questioning Jimmy Garoppolo. We're not questioning Kyle Shanahan. We're saying, wow, what a performance, MVP. Because let's be honest, if we score or we keep the ball on those possessions,
we win the game.
Not only do we win the game, they don't get close to those 31 points that they got.
Yep.
So it looked like a very dominant performance in doing that. You know what I'm saying? And then it looks like what we said at halftime. This team is going to go out. They're going to adjust. They're going to take advantage of things. We were gashing with the run game, so that means that the passing game is supposed to open up, right?
But
you expect them to pass the ball more if the run game is working.
You know what's throwing me off though, Mike? And you're right. I agree with that because I was going to mention that before you brought it up. But what's throwing me off is in the Minnesota Viking game when the defense started playing deep and stopped playing the run, we abandoned the pass. And that was why the stories came out. Oh, Jimmy G can't pass, blah 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 blah, because he didn't have to. Like it didn't. I understand. I guess my issues with the play calling was on first down. Mostert gets 5 yards, then you do 3 straight passes. One gets batted down, he on one drive, and that happened on 2 drives. Then some penalties should have been called and all that type of stuff too. But we can't hope on that stuff. It's like they gotta drop back, they gotta execute, and you're 100% correct, Mike. If Jimmy on that pass, that last pass that got batted down by Chris Jones, if that would have connected, that was George Kittle for a 12-yard pass catch and probably a 49-yard gain. Easy. And it's just like, dang, it got so then let's talk about the offensive line then. Let's talk about how they struggled in the pass game. And it's not that they struggled when they were running those passes in the beginning of the game. When the defense made their adjustments, Person struggled. Joe Staley went out for a little bit, got injured. His school probably came in and struggled. It's just like it looked like Jimmy started to feel uncomfortable, but it's not like he gave up on the team. He tried to make throws. Like he tried to make that throw to Sanders. I'm not sure how much of the pressure was in his face when that ball was thrown. It was just overthrown. Like it was just missed him. Faster guy catch it. It probably is there to get the ball. And he had to beat double coverage. Damn, Sanders is good. But it's just we can't say, oh, what if we did this? What if we did that? The result of the game is we lost the game, and we lost to a confusion of things that didn't seem like it was 49er football. And that is why, for me, I'm confused. That's why I'm frustrated, because it's like, dang, we were enforcing our will. There's no way a team makes adjustments like that.
Right. You guys feel like, it sounds like you both feel like if we played our brand of football, they couldn't stop us.
There is no way. There's no way. There's nothing you can say, Nick or Mike or anybody watching this show that tells me they could stop us, yo. Even when the score was 10-10, it looked like, oh, Pat Mahomes scored mad quick. But then what did Jimmy G do after he threw his interception? Went down and scored mad quick. It's like we were enforcing the will, and we chose not to run the ball when it started becoming successful. We chose to put it in the air.
And Mike, I'm with you when you're talking about if this pass, with the players catching the football or the passes get completed. I'm fine with all that. But the thing that I'm not fine with is we just completely abandoned the run. If we would have stayed with run and kept pass involved, fine.
No, I get you.
We just completely went away from our run game, which has been the bread and butter all year, right? We've been half the time this year been rushing for more yards than we're passing. And to completely just abandon that and just go straight pass, whether there was receivers open, it was good play calls or whatever, they were on it. Their defense was just ears pinned and just going after the quarterback because they knew we weren't running the football anymore. So you allowed them to change their defensive game plan on us because you completely stopped running the football. Now, if you would have mixed in and kept running first down and second down, passing on third downs, or run on first, throw on second, pass on third, whatever. Oh, he did none of that. It was like 3 or 4 straight series where he just dropped back, ran the ball one time, and then threw the football the rest.
No, I get what you're saying, but to counter what you're saying, right? You're saying to pin their ears back. If the play calls, if you look at who was open on the missed plays, like Kyle Shanahan was taking advantage of their aggressiveness. He knew what they were going to do, and he was countering it within the play. But Jimmy just couldn't hit these guys for whatever, like we said, whether it was batted passes or whatever. He had a counter for their aggressiveness, and we've seen that time and time again.
Drew Brees executed.
You're right, right. That's that right. It just wasn't executed. Now, I do believe that we shouldn't have been passing as much, and I'm not trying to argue against that. So don't get me wrong. I would have liked to see us run the ball more. That that fourth down, I mean, a 3rd and 10 shot down the field that we missed, right? I would have liked to see us at least run the ball on 2nd or 3rd down there. We had just got the 1st down, right? Then it was just all right. Let's throw. Like, you get what I'm saying? So that's what I'm talking about. It's not that I disagree with you guys, but they were built-in beaters for what they were doing within these plays. They just weren't executed. That's
they weren't executed. Because
a lot of the reasons they weren't executed was because they were bringing extra pressure.
The
pressure was getting there,
which was forcing Jimmy to get rid of the ball faster.
Because they were pinning their ears back and had that ability to not worry about the run and just go after the pass.
I agree.
We did not see that pressure all game long when we were running the football.
I agree.
Then we abandoned the run. They started bringing an extra guy, 2 extra guys.
Because we became what? We became one-dimensional.
And that's what I'm trying to say. Whether Kyle Shanahan drew up the plays or not, the pressure was there. I can't put that on Jimmy Garoppolo. He got hit probably either the ball was blocked from up front or he got hit throwing the football 9 out of 10 times dropping back.
And he didn't have to, because all game he was clean. Like, he was clean, bro. He was clean. He was throwing darts. You saw me. I said, yo, he's throwing darts. This kid was lighting that defense up because they were scared of the run. When they stopped being scared of the run, they were blitzing. They were batting down passes. They were pushing the offensive line back into Jimmy. He can't get through progressions. No, he's not going to see Emmanuel Sanders wide open. He trying to get the ball out to gain something, right? So he don't get sacked and all this. It was just awkward to watch that whole transition, happen. Like, it was so weird.
So it sounds like y'all have accepted it, but you still got that bitter taste in your mouth. Is that fair to say?
I've accepted it because I'm ready to move on and get into next season, but it's hard to move on from it when all we're seeing is these pictures and these images. And
we're gonna get to that stuff. We're gonna get to what we've been seeing.
If we could just like dead all that, like, it will be so much easier. Like, I'm trying to post stuff about who we drafted and things like that. I really want to move on because this is a page in their book where they're going to be able to look back and reflect. And I know somebody said earlier today, they said, "Lo, man, maybe losing was the best thing that can happen to a young team." Remember, Nick, you said earlier in the season, we better not go undefeated. If we go undefeated, we're going to lose real quick because we don't know how to lose. Maybe losing this game, that Super Bowl, with this young core, this team is young for 10 years, minus a few players. This might be what was best for them, coach and all, general manager and all, like everybody, this whole unit, because all they're going to do is get sharper and sharper and sharper. And for all those that keep saying, oh, we're just going to regress and get worse, that's the dumbest shit I ever heard in my life. How can we possibly get worse unless our players leave? Like, you get them.
Yeah, we're going to get to that. That's the stuff we're going to get to, I promise. Now, we've heard from Nick and we've heard from Wayne on how they feel about the game. We got 2 guys here. We have Anthony and Tony. So I want to get your guys' opinions on it. I asked the fellas, guys, with all the extra time that you've had to go over the game, watch it again, and set in, do you feel any different than the initial night and the overreactions and all? Let's go with Anthony, and then we'll go with Tony.
Just to keep it blank, I don't feel any different. Dude, I mean, we all love this team. We all saw how it went. We all know what could have went better. And I'm just keep it short and sweet, dude. No.
Still hard to accept. You don't feel any different though.
Once we get later in the show, you'll hear my thoughts.
All right, Tony, what about you, man? I know you've watched the game a couple of times and you got your thoughts and all that stuff. And we know what's going on out there, but how, do you feel any different than the night of the game?
It sucks, man. We listen. That defense played their butts off up until that fourth quarter.
Our defense?
Yeah. In my opinion, I think we played our. They had him pretty much. Not going to say fully locked down, but they had him. I'm not going to say scared, but he was definitely feeling it. They were getting to him. He wasn't comfortable in the pocket. My man was taking 12 and 14 step drops. I just feel that a lot was left on the field as far as Jimmy. Between Kittle wide open, Kendrick Bourne open on like an out route, but when you start seeing like these pictures, these images that are coming out, I know you say you're going to touch on it later, these images of the penalties that were not called or the penalty that shouldn't have been called. And then you see just the arrogance and of that team of Kansas City celebrating and the way what they're saying, how they're acting. It just makes your blood boil knowing that we had this game and they should have put them away. But I know I jumped in late, but I pretty much agree with you guys. Why he abandoned the run game, we don't know.
Yeah,
we don't know.
I know.
But
I want to say this. When I reflected on the game, we're going to get to the rumors and stuff. When I reflected on the game, my biggest takeaway from it all, my initial reaction, it was anger, it was disappointment and all that. And I don't feel anger anymore. I am disappointed. You obviously want your team to win the Super Bowl, right? But it was so weird, man. It was like I felt like if they took away one aspect of our offense, the other aspect should thrive. You know what I'm saying? I felt like if they took away the run game, the passing game would be okay. If they took away the pass game, the run game should be okay. And it just, for whatever reason, things just didn't seem to click when we needed them to. The timing of things got a little off. I don't think Jimmy ever looked flustered, believe it or not. I don't think Shanahan actually called any bad plays, which is something that I thought he did. I like the play designs. We just didn't take advantage of those plays. I like the run game. This was a good game by the 49ers. The coaching staff, it just wasn't executed well. It's so crazy, right? I was mad that Chris Jones was able to go in up the middle and tip those passes. It felt like he tipped 5 passes in that game, right? But I was like, we need better guards. But if you look at where he tipped them from, he wasn't right in Jimmy's lap. So the guard held him. He did what he was supposed to do. He didn't let him get the pressure on Jimmy. He just got his hands up. It's a big dude who got his arms up, and he tipped the passes. It's hard to find blame for why we lost this game. And that's because we are a complete team. There was one point in me where I was so mad at the defense. How do you give up 21 points in the fourth quarter? Right? That's what I'm thinking to myself. How do you do it? How do you do it? When you go back and you watch the game, you see Niners, man, you can't let this team hang around this long. You're not marching on the field, taking time off the clock or scoring. This kind of offense, it's just a matter of time before you give them 5 tries, they're going to score on 2 of them. You can't do that. You just can't do it. So then it wasn't about the defense. I was back to blaming the offense. Then when I looked at the offense, I was like, well, these are actually really good plays. It's just not executed. So now I'm mad at individual players. But then I'm like, well, shit, it ain't really Jimmy's fault. That was tipped. It's not really Jimmy's fault. I feel like Sanders should have been faster. It's not really Sanders' fault because it was just all over. And that's where this leaves me, right? My final conclusion is going to be this, guys. This is still a really good team. This is still a really, really young team. I'm not going to say that losing this is good. These guys were hurt. We saw our players literally on the sideline crying, right? It's something I wish on no man. Watching another grown man shed tears is like emotional for me. Like I was like, oh let me turn this off. I don't want to see that. But one thing I do know, there's no way that this team doesn't rise from this. There's no way that this team doesn't bounce back from this. This isn't like when you saw the Rams make their Super Bowl run, all these one-year deals that they had out there and all these hurt players that they were trying to disguise and say that they weren't really hurt and all that, right? There's so much to take away from this season, not just this game, but this season. I remember feeling like there was hope for the 49ers when Jim Tomsula took over for Mike Singletary that one game. I don't know if y'all remember, we finished that season like 7-9. Right? Tomsula came in against the Cardinals. He coached us to a win, and I was like, whoo, the Niners are about to be fire next year. I was so excited. There's no way I can't be excited about next year Well, we just came from the freaking Super Bowl. You know what I'm saying? Like, and I'm not trying to like say, okay, this game is over, let's move on. It's gonna sting for a little bit, faithful. But if you can't be excited about what we're seeing now, maybe the rest of the show is gonna help you guys get excited. And that's what we're gonna transition now, fellas. I wanna get to some of these thoughts and everything. Perry, go ahead, man. I see you waving. Go ahead and jump in here, buddy. Let's see what Perry wants to.
Can you guys
go
hear
ahead.
me?
Yes, sir.
Okay. It's just amazing to me that so many people have just bashed the Niners and saying, "Oh, this is the end of the run. Every important player on the roster is leaving, and now it's time to rebuild, and we have so many question marks." And you can make a question out of anything, don't get me wrong. And I think those questions can be answered when they've been general enough. But it's the fact of the matter that everyone's saying, "Oh, Mullins would have done just as good of a job as Garoppolo," or, it's like that kind of talk. And it's like, no, 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 no. So I'm really excited to get into the show because I think we have a lot to hype up regarding next season. And it sucks that we have to talk about next season like the way we are now. But let's face it, I don't know if any of you guys have said it yet, but this team came way ahead of schedule. How many of us honestly, like truly in our hearts thought that this team was even going to sniff the Super Bowl? We were all thinking wild card, well, yeah, except for Mike. But no, we were all thinking wild card, and we were just thinking that this could be, we're finally on the rise, and it happened so fast. And I don't know, man. I just can't wait to talk about it right now because I'm really excited. It's a really exciting time to be a Niners fan.
Absolutely. So, guys, what we're going to transition to is just that we're going to talk about some of the stuff that we've heard about, some of the rumors that are going around out there, some of the whispers. Right? We're going to just break all that stuff down. Let's start with team news though first. Okay, we heard that Joe Woods is expected to be the next Cleveland Browns defensive coordinator.
He did accept it.
He did officially accept it. Okay,
yeah, so I did see that.
By the way, really quick, back to the Super Bowl thing. This is my last little comment on there. I did see the stuff about officiating. I know people have an issue with that. I'm a Niners fan. Any call that we don't get, I feel like the refs had it out for us personally. I'm trying to separate that from every game because even games that we won, I feel like there were calls that the refs purposely missed. Not saying that they missed. I mean, they purposely missed it. How don't you call that? So I don't want to bring that into this, even though some of these things were pretty blatant. When your quarterback is laying on the ground holding his head from a hit with the crown of the helmet, like that infuriated me. But there's nothing we can do about it. Be better than the team you're playing and be better than the refs. So that's my comment on it. Nick alluded to that earlier. So, but yeah, so back to Joe Woods. He's accepted the defensive coordinator position for the 49ers. Tony, I want to give you the floor. For the Browns. I'm sorry, for the Browns. Tony, you were talking about his replacement 2 weeks before it was even rumored in the NFL because the Cowboys started dismantling their roster. So tell us about the guy who was going to replace Woods. This is all unofficial, guys. He has not been hired yet, but it's been rumored. There's ties to it. Let's talk about the Chris Richards or Richard. I don't know how he says his last name.
I think it's Richard, but yeah. So it's, in my opinion, I think it's going to be Chris Richard. He was the Dallas Cowboys passing game coordinator last season, and previously he was a defensive back coach with the Seattle Seahawks. Sherman did play with him, and I think Saleh and him were on the same staff like years ago as like defensive assistants or something. But I mean, just looking around at like who's available after like there was like 6 or 7 new coaching hires and staffs were made. That's my choice, hands down. I mean, I think he can bring a lot to this defensive secondary. It's actually someone that I wanted before they went after Joe Woods. But listen, we got Joe Woods, and I mean, shame on us because we didn't realize he signed a 1-year deal. So it kind of signing that 1-year deal set the guideline for saying, okay, I'm going to come back, prove myself, and now I'm going to go back to becoming a defensive coordinator. Hopefully, if Richard comes in, he signs a multi-year deal, and I think the team will try to push for that. But as far as experience, like, he is an experienced defensive back coach. He's been doing it, I think, for the last he's been Dallas for 2 years, and I think maybe 5 years or 6 years with Seattle. So he has experience. He has scheme familiarity with the cover 3. But it's going to be interesting. I mean, Joe Woods put his touches on this defense, and you don't know. Maybe Richard will put his touches on his defense, but I don't think he's as versatile and scheme versatile as Joe Woods because this guy pretty much played and coached a cover 3 system. So it's going to be interesting. But that's the main guy that I think they're going to look at. It was reported, I think, a week ago. But, yeah, that's the only guy that I think, unless they're working on something behind the scenes or an unknown guy to come up through the ranks. I know they have Bullock still, but I think they want to keep Bullock as a safety because he played a safety position as an NFL player, and they want to bring somebody else in to work with him.
So that's that. We're going to see what happens. It's unofficial, but it looks like he is the favorite to get this position. So we'll keep our eyes on that, and we will report to you guys as soon as we hear something official. Now, the team also had a bunch of meetings, and they opened up to the last round of pressers before getting into the offseason. One comment that stood out, and this is going to go back to Lycan's original contribution there, was from Emmanuel Sanders. And Emmanuel Sanders said something along the lines of, now this is me, just what's the word I'm looking for when you like summarize? It's not a quote, but anyway, I'm doing that.
To paraphrase?
Yes, paraphrasing, my man. Leave it to the writer to get the word right. Paraphrase what he said was, I would love to come back to this team. I love this team. I love this locker room, and I want my chance at redemption, basically. I want to come back, and I believe that we can win it. Not only did he say that, there was one other person, another wide receiver, believe it or not, that said something very similar in his Instagram post, and that was Kendrick Bourne. So I'm going to ask you guys, do you think that we bring those two guys back? Let's start up top. We're going to go with Breezy, then Nick, then Anthony, and then Tony.
I absolutely think we're going to bring them back. It's a no-brainer. I think Kyle Shanahan's going to bring back everybody he can on this particular squad to give them that revenge tour, to kick off that revenge tour 2020 hashtag. That's what he's going to do. And hopefully everybody that is willing to take whatever the deals they can take. I understand there's money involved. I understand there's contracts. I understand there's restricted free agent tenders and all that good stuff, and all that stuff people don't really sit here and talk about. I get it. It gets broken down to me too when I don't understand it. But I think that's what Kyle Shanahan is going to attempt, him and John Lynch. I want these players back, and we'll add some pieces. You heard Kyle Shanahan say, I'm trying to bring everybody back and add some new pieces. He said that. That's what he said. Those were his words. I'm super excited. I know people don't want Sanders back because they feel like he's slow and he's old and he's going to cost too much money. I don't give why do we care? That boy has put his heart out on the line, and then he declined and all this type of stuff. Did he decline, or did they stop throwing him the ball because of coverages? Like, what is it? I'm sure it's not a decline, because when they threw him the ball in the Super Bowl, he caught just damn near all the passes that was targeted to him that he can get to, minus a couple. So let's just be real. The question was, do we bring them back? Yes. Answer, done.
I'm with Breezy on this, and me, at the beginning of the year, I wasn't a big KB fan, and KB has come strides further than I expected him to this year. And he kept Dante Pettis on the bench all year long, and that's a whether that's a big accomplishment in some eyes or it's not an accomplishment in some eyes, because of the way that Pettis was playing, but. KB for sure has to come back, and I really believe that Emmanuel Sanders wants to be back. And with him wanting to be back, that only helps us go and strive next year with him coming back and being with this team and keeping this core as much together as possible. Do I feel that it's a must-do for Emmanuel Sanders? Probably not. Do I feel that it'll up our chances? With guys like Trent Taylor coming back, Jalen Hurd coming back, with KB, because no matter how you want to look at it, these receivers, Debo, KB, they didn't start playing the way they were playing until Emmanuel Sanders came here. So to me, as a team player, and the contributions that he can give or bring to the team, I'm totally 100% in bringing both of those guys back. So, yes, I think they should both be back.
All right, Anthony, the writer, Mr. Perry. I said that in French in case you didn't know. What are your thoughts on it all, man? Do you want those guys coming back? Do you think the team is going to bring them back?
It's a business at the end of the day, and as much as we want them back, you have to be realistic, and allocating money for this team is going to be hard. And it'll be another show unless we talk about it tonight on how they restructure contracts. Because in my opinion, I think a ton of guys can be restructured financially, which they should do, especially to bring back guys like Armstead and Ward and even Sanders. But in my opinion, though, they should try and get the core back as a whole. You see what happens when teams with fantastic chemistry go as far as they do. And the whole season, the Niners were all dancing and hype, but they were also serious when it came to the game. And you don't see teams be like that as a whole and be successful. It's very rare. So the fact that just about everyone displayed so much chemistry was huge, and I think that's a big reason why they should come back. But again, it all depends on financials. You know, guys are going to get really expensive, and I do agree with Wayne in the sense that it doesn't really matter what Sanders will cost. But man, Wayne, I think it kind of matters what Sanders costs.
That's the thing, though. I don't think Sanders is going to come here.
He's not going to want 17 million. Oh my God! Take words right out my mouth, Nick. I guarantee you that's
in the beginning of the year. He's not going. He doesn't want to be with a team to make money. He wants to be with a team that he enjoys being around and wins. And this team is probably one of the closest teams of winning a Super Bowl in the NFL than any other NFC team and possibly AFC team. And the money, I think, if you can get him for $7 million a year, do it.
So that's the thing, though, is who's more important, Emmanuel Sanders or Eric Armstead? And then you got to say the same thing about Jimmy Ward as well.
You could tag Armstead, though. So that
17
money,
million?
Yeah, but that money is different.
Yeah, Mike, I'm sorry. my point being, though, is if the guys can come back, yeah, they should absolutely come back. But
and apparently, Anthony, it looked like these damn receivers is more important. We need to score some points on offense. That's what it looks like.
I saw a mock draft that said we could take a receiver in the first round if we don't trade out, and obviously that depends on if Sanders walks. But in my opinion, I think we do need wide receivers. So it would be nice if Sanders stays. So.
Before we move on, let's read this George Padilla comment. 99.
My man, George, baby.
Appreciate you, George, my homie, Mr. and Mr. Padilla, I guess, Mr. and Mr. Talking and listening is therapy and growth for everyone. There's validity to many perspectives. If we listen, we grow. Better shout to NBN for letting me get that here. Appreciate you. Appreciate your father. You know, everybody. That's why I said Mr. and Mr. Padilla. I don't know if both of those are watching. So big shout out to those guys, and appreciate you, George.
All right, so last but not least, on the wide receiver topic, we're going to give it to my man Tony, and then I'll give you guys my thoughts on it all.
So I definitely think Kendrick Bourne is going to be back. I definitely think who's the second guy that you said, Mike?
Sanders said he wants to come back to this team, man. They don't. Yeah. Both of them said it. They don't want to leave this locker room. They both want to be here.
Listen, going into an offseason, you just played in the Super Bowl. You want to keep that nucleus together, but there's going to be some tough decisions that have to be made. I don't think the Niners sniff around Sanders if he wants $10+ million a year. I don't think they can do it. I don't think cap-wise they can. I understand they gave up a lot of equity to bring him in, but if he wants north of like 10, 11, $12 million, it's not going to fit under this scheme, under this cap status. Definitely Bourne's going to be back. I can tell you that right now because we hold the rights to him. And I honestly think wide receiver, I agree with Perry, wide receiver is a need on this team because you don't know the status of Emmanuel Sanders. As much as he said he loves this organization, it's a first-class organization, he wants to be a part of this going forward. You know, he loves this locker room. He likes Jimmy. He likes George and Debo. They're dancing all over the field. If you just say who we have under contract, we have Debo, we have Dante Pettis.
These guys are peanuts, right? They're not costing no money.
Exactly. We have Richie James. We have a question. We don't know the status of Jalen Hurd because no one's ever seen him in the locker room.
And you don't know the status of Taylor either. So
now you have to address it as you need a wide receiver. And if this guy prices himself out, now wide receiver becomes a priority in the draft.
Don't we have 5 wide receivers in the contract next year?
We have
there's Goodwin, Hurd, Taylor, Samuel.
Goodwin's gone. I'm not.
You can't say he's gone. He's still under contract, bro.
I'm telling you straight up. I'll say it on this show. Goodwin's out of the plans.
All right, so you saying that, and I'm gonna say Sanders is gonna be signing with the team. That's the same shit.
That's fine with me.
Cool. Okay? Same thing.
There's a big difference between 12 and 13 million and make it only 7 million, Wayne.
But my point is, he, according to him, According to the stuff that's been transpired out of his mouth and the team and whatever, he wants to be here. So I say, Parag, find a way to make that shit happen. Pay him one incentives like you did Richard Sherman and everybody else that got a contract on this team. They get paid on what they do, on how they perform. Give them a little base.
Then fine, but you got a lot of big decisions to make on this roster.
What big decisions we got to make this year, Tony?
We're getting ahead of ourselves.
I know, but I want to know.
Wrong. I'll just stop talking then because obviously you have.
I'll ask you a question. That's all.
I'm answering it right now. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, potentially 7 and 8 that played huge roles on this team this year that are free agents. Okay. You have 1, 2, Armstead and Jimmy Ward that were 2 starters that played huge roles on his defense are going to look for a huge payday. And then you have Buckner coming up for an extension. You have Kittle coming up for an extension, which, by the way, Buckner and Armstead both have the same agent, which they're going to play each other against each other. So it's not going to be easy to get those 2 guys under contract. Yeah, you want to franchise them? That's great. That's $17+ million a year.
That's
great. Tony with the slam dunk.
That's if
you want to be technical about this. I'll go technical with you, Wayne.
Go technical, bro. You're talking funny fucking money. That it's money, bro. It's money that Parag finds ways to make shit happen. You act like I'm wrong. He finds ways to sign players to incentive-based contracts, and we got how you think we got this team? From players buying in.
But that's the thing, Tony. Not Tony. That Wayne. What people don't realize, they keep saying that Parag is this wizard and all that stuff, and I'm not taking anything away from him yet. We're going to find out now because we haven't had anybody worth signing or retaining on this roster.
Now. Okay,
right?
That's fair.
I'm asking you, agree with that though, right? Like
we'll find out now. We'll find out how it works. Tony says Buckner and Kittle, them the 2 next extensions that are due next. Either we extend them now to free up money to sign players this year. I don't know.
Like,
but their contracts aren't next year.
The question that was faced to all of us was:
do we bring back the receivers
back? That was the question. Do you want them back? Not can we?
Of course we want them back, but can we actually fit everyone back?
But I thought the question was:
$20 million going into this cap right now. $20 million with all those free agents. You got to extend all the restricted free agents, and you have a draft class. Granted, we only have 1 first-round pick. That's without extending Kittle or Buckner.
Well, you don't really need to extend Kittle or Buckner right now.
Not this season.
You don't.
They're accounted in the salary cap for next year already.
Right. So they're already accounted. That you technically don't have to do that this year.
So let me ask you what happens if Kittle shows up and he holds out? What do you do then?
We can't get into a show about hypothetical.
How can he hold out? He's under contract next year.
I mean, he can hold out. That's players do.
Anybody can hold out. Nick.
Anybody can hold out.
Right. What leverage does he have to get a new contract? You don't need. He's under contract. You don't need to give him
the leverage that he has is that he's the best tight end in football. That lost the Super Bowl. I don't know. Like that. That's the leverage. I mean, if you ask that question, like, can he hold out? Yes. Do we think he will? Probably not. But can he? Yeah, he proved himself. 5th round draft pick, and he the best. He the GOAT already. Year 2, bro. Like, yeah, he can hold out. Year 3. He can hold out. He can, because we watch players do it. Is that his personality? Nah. But if he got that agent, that'd be like, hey, man. So it's possible, man. Anything is hypothetical. Anything is possible. But to answer the question that Mike originally asked, I want to bring back everybody on this team, if possible, whether it makes sense or not, whether it can happen or not, I don't know. But do I want that? Yes, I want the receivers back. I wish we can get rid of receivers that we don't need that are just chilling, sitting on the bench. We didn't even talk about Richie James.
Right. There's Richie James. There's even Pettis. Now, here's the thing, though. All right. So I'm going to answer the question first. Then I'll touch on a little bit of the salary cap stuff. Okay. 1, I don't want them both back. I don't think we need both of them back. I think with us getting Taylor and Hurd off of injury, I expect them to do something. They were healthy enough that the team held out hope for them. They made the 53 instead of going right to IR. That means something to me. Both of them made the roster and then went to IR. I think we get something from those guys, okay? when it comes to not Breida, when it comes to Bourne versus Sanders, I don't know which one we should bring back. I'll be completely honest with you guys. I like Bourne because of the personality. I like the flashy and he doesn't do anything top 10 in the league. He does nothing top 10 in the league. And I'll be honest with you guys, at this stage in his career, neither is Sanders. They're both dependable guys in football, and we like what they bring to the table. We're going to fall in love with the team that wins us over. This is the 13-3 team, and like Tony said, we're going to want to bring everybody back. But then reality sets in. And so if it's up to me, I bring back one of these guys. That's it. That's my personal opinion. Now,
but
I don't want them both back.
I understand. That's your opinion. I'm cool. That's your opinion. I want them both back. That's my opinion. But if I got two players on this team that are wild cards because you don't know what they're gonna do. You don't know if Trent Taylor's gonna play. You don't know if Jalen Hurts gonna play. He might come in and suck when he's faced against real professional football players. So it's like to have them is great, to groom them is great, to allow them to grow is great. But why not bring back greatness if we can? I feel because
there's only so many receivers that can play in a game.
I understand that, but then we start chipping off on some other pieces maybe we don't need.
Well, so this is my question. So we talked about the 5 guys that are under contract. All right.
I don't know how that stuff works.
So no. I'm talking about the guys who are under contract. We have Goodwin. We have Pettis, 2 guys who haven't contributed anything. We have Richard James, hasn't really contributed anything. We have Taylor, and we have Hurd. Those are the 5 wide receivers that are under contract.
So like Tony said,
Devo, not Sanders.
Like Tony said,
Devo. I'm sorry,
you cut Goodwin, but I don't know what that means.
Now we cut Goodwin
because I don't know how that hurts the cap. You get what I'm saying? I don't understand that.
Only a $625,000 dead cap if you
which means
so if we cut him, we got to still pay somebody 600. We lose 625,000.
We lose that instead of paying him instead of paying
him 6.475.
Right. So we gain $6 million by cutting him.
Right. But now, and you also gain an open spot.
Yes, and we gain a roster spot. See, this is what we're talking about here.
But so explain to me and I know we're not talking about this position, but how much do we gain if we cut McKinnon? $8 million.
All right, so let's. That's another rumor that came out. That's
But
perfect.
no, I'm just asking because I want to know I'm still trying to understand this dead cap because you're saying that if we owe McKinnon $8 million, let's say we owe him $8 million for next season, right? And then we cut him. How much do we lose? Because you told me we gain with Goodwin. Do we gain if we cut McKinnon?
I'm looking it up now.
Every contract if you have a guy under contract, if it's not 100%, if it's not 100% guaranteed, that's where you save your most money. If you have a guy that's
all right,
you could save 3.5 million, but there'll be like 1.25 in dead cap space.
Yeah, that's what I'm asking.
You want to take the hit of the 1.25 dead cap space that's stretched over X amount of years rather than.
So that means you get back 2-point-something million?
Yeah.
Got you. That's what I'm asking. So the dead cap space is
it's all how the contract is worded.
The dead cap on McKinnon is $2 million, and his cap hit right now is $9.2 million. $9,200,000. So you would save
$7 million and some change.
Nick, that's the last season of his Nick. That's the last season of his contract. It's 2020. Under Spot Rack, it's the 2020-2021 season. That final year is 21-22.
Okay, so it's 8.5.
Yes.
So 8.5.
So it's $4 million dead cap.
Correct. Right.
So 4 million minus 8.5 is how much we would gain.
It's 4.5 million.
Thank you guys. Appreciate it.
The Niners they pay out $4 million instead of paying
$8.5 million. So it might be worth to take the. That's what I'm saying. So what I was saying about Kyle Shanahan, the only thing I want him to do other than call run plays is I need him to start developing this dog mentality. Start getting rid of these weak pieces, man. Get that art of war concept and get your go with your shit. The same way he made certain players inactive that we didn't think would be inactive and inactivated players that we didn't think Like, just stick to your guns, get rid of the weak, and rock with the strong. And I need him to change his mindset too, yo. Because with that mindset, these players are gonna want to play. The good thing about this team is now not only does this team want to come back and contest again and have revenge. What about other players that are gonna want to come here because of the stuff that's been created?
Right, and that's that we're going to get to that. It's going to be a long off season, guys. We're not going to get it all today. We got 10 minutes left in the show. We are not going to get it all out there. There are going to be Tony and I were on the phone earlier today, and we were talking about how it feels like 94 again, where players were willing to take discounts with incentives, like what you were saying, Breezy, to come and play for this Niners team, which all goes into the salary cap completely different, because then we're talking bonus. We're not talking about the straight up cap hits. So we got a lot to break down. We're going to get into all that stuff, but I want to give it back to you guys. There were other rumors. There were other whispers. I heard the 49ers should cut Jimmy Garoppolo. I heard the 49ers need to not extend Kyle Shanahan, maybe just let him go. I heard that Kyle Shanahan is the biggest con artist and choke artist in NFL history because he's been to 2 Super Bowls and he's blown them both. So I think we need to address these things. I hear that the 49ers window, believe it or not, despite being one of the youngest teams in the NFL, their window is closing. These are the things that we're hearing. We have to discuss this stuff in 10 minutes, guys. So who wants to go first?
I will, because I want to talk about Garoppolo.
Let's do it.
And I think it's a really good point to talk about. And it's not that you don't have to believe in Garoppolo or his ability, but the fact of the matter is you have to factor in how he can stay healthy, if he can stay consistent. And we saw some people on Twitter talk like, oh, this is his ceiling. This is what Garoppolo is. And it's like, he's only played one full season. This is his first. You feel it. This is his first season under Shanahan's system. And I know Matt Ryan isn't, or Jimmy Garoppolo isn't Matt Ryan, but you look at Matt Ryan's jump from year 1 to year 2, even if he had Julio and Sanu, that jump is huge. That jump is ginormous.
MVP jump.
Exactly. MVP jump, exactly. And even if you don't want to crown Garoppolo MVP next season, you can still crown him as a top 8 quarterback, because if he goes into this system understanding even better, on top of getting new playmakers back and just playmakers back, period, like Jalen Hurd and arguably Trent Taylor and Emmanuel Sanders and so on, it's cool. It is absolutely cool. But to the window thing Mike is talking about, it's kind of tough, because when you talk about open and closed windows, there's only one position, in my opinion, that can define an open and closed window. Whatever the head coach is, exactly, and whatever the quarterback is. And depending on if Jimmy G exceeds or regresses, that will really determine our window. And after this season, this is when they can cut him with only like a $10 million cap hit. Garoppolo has an out in his contract, or a potential out. And they structured it that way just to see, hey, look, I want to see what we have out of Garoppolo. We got him for 4 years of his prime. We already lost one. We've seen one when he's healthy. Now we have 1 more year to see what we really get out of him. So this year is honestly his, quote, contract year to prove if he really deserves to be with this team. And if he exceeds, he gives us a window for another 10 years, honestly. And I'm just saying another 10 years. And that's a lot. But to my point is, quarterbacks don't regress as much as they used to because of modern medicine, better practice, and things of that nature. So it just depends, you guys. It really depends. That was my rant.
And to piggyback on what you're saying about quarterbacks not regressing as much, quarterbacks can also grow within systems. Jimmy Garoppolo is probably never going to be stronger than he is today. He's never going to be able to throw the ball further unless he changes his mechanics and finds some way to put more velocity on the ball, right?
Accurate, Mike. We just need his accuracy to improve.
Right.
And his
both think accuracy can improve in an offense when it comes to comfort.
Thank you.
So I saw a tweet today by someone, and it was Jimmy Garoppolo, 7 years in the NFL. He is the finished product. He's as good as he's going to get.
And that's when I responded to them and said, but he's only played one. He's only started for one full season.
And
how can you say that? Like, that was the dumbest thing I've ever seen.
Now, to that person's point, and I'm not speaking for anybody else, physically, that person is correct. He's not going to get any faster. He's not going to get any stronger, right?
He didn't say physically.
But he can get smarter in the system. He can read defenses better. Because you can sit here and say, oh, he's been in the league for 7 years. He's been under center. He's been under center for less than 30 games, bro. That's not even 2 seasons.
Damn.
You can even argue too, Mike, and you guys, you can even argue that Jimmy G hasn't even come close to his prime because of how little he's played in his career.
Absolutely.
That even after an ACL, that body is healthy. That is a healthy body that is ready to go out there and play.
Can you imagine year 2 after the ACL?
Think about Richard Sherman. Exactly. Now we're getting somewhere.
Can you think just guys, put that into your perspective, whether you want to or not. It'll be year 2 after the ACL. Year 2. What do you
Right. I'm going to read this comment from Mark here. It says, been a 49ers fan since 1985. According to my eye test, Jimmy G is Alex Smith 2.0, which is an upgrade. Why not get 2 years of Brady and have a backup chance to win a chip? I'm going to give this to Tony and then Nick. You guys feel free to respond however you feel fit. Mark, thank you for the contribution. We truly appreciate it. You know what? Let's start with Nick first. Let's start with Nick, and then we'll go to Tony, because then I'll take it off as we go down to Tony. I don't want it over Tony's face as we're talking.
I just don't understand this. Did anybody watch Tom Brady this year? Like, did anybody watch Tom Brady this year? Tom Brady is not the same Tom Brady.
Hey, his receivers and offensive line was terrible.
You are going backwards by getting rid of a Jimmy Garoppolo and taking Tom Brady. Even if you got 2 years, you're back to square one with no quarterback once again. You need to keep Jimmy Garoppolo here. Stop the talk with bring in, Tom Brady or bring in whoever. Trade away all our picks and get Burrow. Like, stop it.
I ain't heard that one, but
just stop it. Like, it's just silly. Alex Smith 2.0, like, come on, man. This kid has played 1 full season under center and has taken he's 20, what is he, 24-5 or 24-6 now, 23-6 as a starter? Where else are you getting those numbers in the NFL? I appreciate the donation and I appreciate the contribution, but
he hates your comment.
This is a silly take. This is silly. Like, you're going backwards by bringing.
We have to acknowledge something though, Nick. And this is Mark brings up a good point, because there's a large consensus of people who see names and they say, "Hey, let's do that." Tom Brady is technically a free agent. Drew Brees is technically a free agent. So when people present these things to us, we have to try to, we think different than the average fan will. Okay, so I don't want to insult him. Not that you were insulting him, but I don't want to insult anybody and say, "What are you thinking? What are you paying attention to?" I'm going to give it to Tony. And then
the thing about, you say Drew Brees. Drew Brees had a better, I would say, all around better offense than us this year with receivers and everything. No names, right? And he wasn't in a Super Bowl. Like, Jimmy Garoppolo carried this team. Whether you want to say it was all the run, it was pass, whatever, there were games that Jimmy Garoppolo won for this team this year and took us to a Super Bowl in his first year under center. And we're talking about getting rid of the guy. When it's only up, you can only get better. I don't know. I just think it's a silly take, but I appreciate you.
Thank you, Mark, for the $5. It's not going to happen. Okay, there's a young nucleus that's built around this team, and there's no reason why to mortgage a 28-year-old quarterback who's shown to be productive in this system that had, 7 minutes of bad play in a Super Bowl for a guy that is 42 years old, and if we're lucky, can make it through one season if he's not hit or whatever the situation might be. I'm not mortgaging the youth around here, because now if he retires in a year, what are you going to do then? You have all this talent around you. You have a defense around you. You have a play caller around you, but you don't have a quarterback. So then what's Kyle going to have to do? Go find another quarterback. That quarterback's going to have to learn the system, and it's going to delay this whole process down. It's not going to happen, okay? I was watching Pro Football Talk today, and that clown Florio says the Niners should call the Vikings on the DL and try to trade for Kirk Cousins. Now, why in God's name would you do that, number one? Number two, you want to talk about destroying a locker room by sneaking behind Garoppolo's back and showing that whole locker room that you really don't have confidence in Garoppolo and trying to sneak Cousins on the 49ers. You're playing with fire. Florio's Florio, and you can't make logic of anything he says with the 49ers. And Tom Brady is not going to come to San Francisco as a starter at 42 years old, 44, whatever he is. It's not going to happen. Jimmy Garoppolo is the quarterback of the San Francisco 49ers for 2020, and God willing, going forward. All right. This is his second full year in the system. All quarterbacks in Kyle's systems and their second years explode. Now, if you take the group that he had from when was the trade deadline? Week 8 on, and you start that from week 1, Jimmy Garoppolo puts up a lot better numbers than he did before the trade of Emmanuel Sanders. So there's a lot to take in consideration before just closing the door because he had 7 bad minutes in the fourth quarter of the Super Bowl on Jimmy Garoppolo. So I'm sticking with Jimmy. If it doesn't work this year, and if he falls flat on his face, I'm not saying he is. I don't think he is. I'm just being hypothetical. Then you can make a plan to go forward. But right now, Jimmy's the quarterback of the 49ers, and if he plays well next year, he's the quarterback going forward.
Yeah, I'm going to respond to this comment, and then I'm going to pass it to Perry and Breezy on something else. So I want you guys to make sure you're listening to me. I want to say this. We heard right before the Super Bowl kicked off that Jed York and the 49ers front office were working on extensions for Kyle Shanahan and John Lynch. Now, keep in mind that they each have 3 years left under contract. You don't work on an extension for those kind of guys and expect them to start over at the same time. All right? And there's 2 positions, head coach and quarterback, that tell you when your windows are closing. Okay? If there was a chance that quarterback was going to be changed, there's no way they're talking about extensions, because let me see who you're going to get rid of. We just won 13 games with this guy, and you want to get rid of him? Let me see if you're crazy before I extend you. That's not going to be the conversation. So I can tell you guys now that all these other quarterbacks that people are talking about, I'm not going to say it's impossible. There is less than 0.5% chance that that actually happens. They're not getting rid of Jimmy Garoppolo, guys. Next year is his big season of out. Jimmy Garoppolo is coming back. He has played count him on one finger, 1 season of football under Kyle Shanahan, and he won 13 regular season games. He won 2 playoff games. You can sit here and say, well, he didn't really win. Jimmy Garoppolo won 15 games this season. 15. He should have won 2 more in the regular season, but I won't get there. I won't do that. Okay? So my point is, he's not going anywhere. The 49ers are going to keep Jimmy Garoppolo. The 49ers are going to continue, and this window is going to be open and ever present, okay, with Jimmy Garoppolo and Kyle Shanahan and John Lynch. My question to Perry and Breezy is going to be this. The rumors of the contract extension. 1, are you extending them now knowing they have 3 years left? And if so, for how long? Let's go to Breezy and then go to Perry. Actually, no. Let's go the other way. Let's do Perry and then Breezy.
Gotta do the guy with the short answers first. Nah, sometimes short. No, in all honesty, no. And you look at things like Jim Tomsula and Chip Kelly, when you give them those solid coaching contracts and they both get cut after 1 season. Now Jed York is still paying them, and they're not even on the team anymore. And I just don't want to see the same situation happen with Lynch and Shanahan. So basically what I'm saying is I want to see another year out of them. And look, if we get to the Super Bowl again, or if we make a deep run in the playoffs again and their price gets even higher for an extension, give them the bank, dude. How often do you find a solid head coach and solid GM that can work together well without any problems? For example, Trent Baalke and Jim Harbaugh, who Baalke, by the way, just got hired by the Jags as their director of player personnel. But to the answer, though, nah. I would wait. I would give them at least 1 more year just to make sure that there is some consistency, just to make sure that this is for sure what we have and what we know we have going forward. Because if they extend them now and Shanahan and Lynch are a flash in the pan, it looks like a bad extension. So 1 more season. Let's see what we got. Move forward.
All right. Now, before Breezy responds, I'm going to read this comment. I'm going to remind you guys both of this. I'll give I'll give Perry a chance to rebuttal if he has a different thought based off of what I say. But you have to remember that no matter what happens, they're getting paid for 6 years. Just like Jed York is still paying Chip Kelly, just like he's still paying Tom Sula. These guys are going to get paid for another 3 years. All right. So keep that in the back of your mind. This comment here from Bob Merck says, it's a $10 contribution. Thank you, Bob. It says, Kyle and John are being paid to put a Super Bowl worthy team on the field. I'm confident that they will do what they have to do just that. There's a lot of to and do's right there. To do just that. See what I'm saying? Y'all see it? Okay, whatever. Hashtag faithful, hashtag Niners. Bob, you're absolutely correct. And I'll be honest with you. They've already accomplished that. This team was just in the Super Bowl. So, Breezy, I'm going to give the floor to you. Unless, Perry, do you have a rebuttal? Just keep in mind that these guys are guaranteed to get paid the next 3 years. Does that change anything that you just said?
Nah, because that's what I started with the Chip Kelly and Tom Sula thing. But I'll save my rebuttal just in case I have to yell at Wayne.
All right, Breezy. Break it down, man. Are you extending these guys? And if so, for how long?
Yo, I'm absolutely extending their contracts, man. It's a no freaking brainer, yo. These guys for the first 2 years on this season, had to weave out all the bad, had to get rid of, had to play damn near butt naked with players and ACL players. They had to get all that stuff out of the system, and they signed a 6-year deal because they knew Jed York knew it was going to take time for them to get it done. Give them guys 10-year contracts, extend their contracts for another 4 years, give them the John Gruden treatment. Clearly, they are great. They work well together. Remember the stories about Kyle Shanahan and John Lynch beefing and them arguing? Even if they do that, it damn sure don't look like it now, except for when Lynch is yelling at Shanahan to call timeout.
Bro, Lynch's face, when they showed Lynch doing that, his face was like,
yo, that shit was so blue and red. And he didn't call that timeout. I said, oh, Shanahan getting fired. Then I remember Shanahan really run the team.
Bro, let me tell you, I saw that after our halftime show. I saw the replays of him doing. And so imagine if I had you saw it, how livid I was at the halftime show that we did, which, by the way, 27,000 views. Y'all are amazing. But let me get back to this. Bro, you saw how livid I was I was I don't come out the gate cursing ever.
You was high, yo.
It take a couple of these to get me there, bro. And I came out the gate cursing, bro. I was. This is Super Bowl.
You were hot, bro.
If I had saw John Lynch doing that, I'd have been turned even more. I'm sorry, but go ahead. The floor is yours. I'm sorry.
You were hot, bro. But what I'm trying to say is clearly these guys have a formula. Clearly it's working. They got us to the Super Bowl. I know it's hard to get back to the Super Bowl. But there's something about these two guys when they develop a plan, they know the guys that they need to go get. They clearly draft players. We be like, what the fuck? And then all of a sudden, when they get on the field, we be like, oh, you know what I'm saying? So it's like, do they hit on every player that they draft? No. But they figured out a system. They brought winning culture to this team. They brought the winning culture. Do you know how lit it was this season? You had 49er faithful fans traveling all across the country to every game just to be at the game to cheer on for their 49ers. You had John Lynch sending out tweets thanking people. You had John Lynch drafting up letters to employees across America saying, please excuse my fan from work because they are up supporting this franchise. He has brought back what we have been missing for a long time. This is even bigger than what it was when Harbaugh was here. I know I love that team. I love Patrick Willis and those guys, but it's something about the culture that's different. The culture is different. You got guys that want to come back and play for a team. It's just you got guys that are making $2 that want to come back and make $2.50. That's different shit, bro. You sign this GM, you sign this coach, you give them 10-year contracts, and then in the 7th year, if we still win, you extend the shit again. That's how you do it. That's what you do. You can come back and yell at me all you want. I don't give a freak. All I know is we need to rock with these coaches. Let them continue to put these plans in motion. Let Kyle show you that he is just as creative as a Bill Belichick. He is just creative as these other coaches that got these long tenures. I'm telling you, Kyle is that dude. We might not like his play calling. We might not understand it. But you know there's one great coach who's a Hall of Fame coach who still ain't even retired that do shit we don't understand. His name is Bill Belichick. I watched him go for it on 4th down when he shouldn't have. Lost the AFC Championship game to Peyton Manning. I don't know why he did that shit, but he did it. I watched him throw the ball to when he shouldn't throw the ball. They lost to the listen. Great teams lose to become greater. I'm going to leave it at that, and I'm getting ready to sign off, guys. And I'm going to drink I got a sore throat.
I know Breezy said that he was on time restriction, so if you got to go, man, you to go and take care of yourself. I don't recommend Sudafed with that, but you do whatever that you got to do to be safe. Don't operate the machinery there. Nick and Tony, I know I gave this to Breezy and Perry, but just to show of hands really quick, if you would extend them, let me see a hand. Yeah, okay. So we're all about oh, wait, what the Perry, you said you wouldn't extend them yet. What the heck is happening right now? Nah, take yourself off of mute. We got to get this figured out.
I said one more season.
Oh, you want to see one more? Okay.
Yeah,
okay.
I want to see one more season.
All right. Okay, yeah, that's true. All right, now we have a John Gallagher here, no relation to Frank Gallagher. He says the cap situation does not look good for us. We will get to that later on, I promise you, man. But it's not as bad as people think it is either. And there's ways to manipulate the cap. So we will talk about that. There are players who have already agreed to take pay cuts, and we haven't heard that from the team. Jerick McKinnon being one of them. Jerick McKinnon already went on record saying, I am willing to take a pay cut if that's what the 49ers want me to do. I want to be here. I want to ask you guys this since we're here, since Gallagher brought us here. Does that tell you anything different about McKinnon, and would you bring him back if he's willing to take a pay cut? One, what's the pay cut you would give him? And two, would you, no pay cut is good enough, cut him, or here's the pay cut and this is how he can stay? Let's do Tony, let's do Nick, and then let's do Perry. Because this, to me, is a good subject. I'll be honest with you guys. You know, I'm going to go first this time. Under normal circumstances, I'm like, yo, get rid of this guy. Y'all know how I feel about McKinnon. I didn't like him before. I didn't like him as soon as we signed him. And then 2 injuries. On the bench 2 years, I have been over him. As far as a pay cut and then we'll keep him, it's going to have to be a very significant pay cut that I don't think he'll accept. I think it needs to be a vet minimum and 100% incentives on top of that. Nothing else guaranteed. We'll give you the vet minimum and that is it. But that's me. I want to give it to Nick, then we'll do Tony and then Perry. Go ahead, fellas.
I mean, it's going to boil down to, like you said, what is the pay cut? How much is he willing to take down? This guy hasn't played a snap of football in 3 years. I was one of the guys who was kind of excited to see what Jerick McKinnon can do in this offense, to say. And obviously not, I've been sticking with him. I was excited for him this year, but I don't think Breed is coming back. You have Jeff Wilson Jr., obviously, making less money. You have Tevin Coleman, obviously under contract 1 more year now. And then you have Raheem Mostert under contract with 2 years left. Well, 3 years, I believe, because he got a 3-year extension. I'm not sure if that 3rd year was this year counted in or if it was – I'll have to look up his numbers. But, he's making, I think, like $3 million a year right now, Raheem Mostert. Going into this season, Raheem Mostert looks like the number 1 guy, right? Looks to be that way. I would bring him back, and the only reason I say that is because Tevin Coleman didn't play a full season this year. Raheem Mostert had a good season this year, but you can't put it all just on his back. And Raheem Mostert is what he is because – no, I don't want to say is what he is, because that's kind of wrong. I love Raheem Mostert now. Watching him run, watching him play, I think he can do it. But if something happens to Coleman, you're putting a lot more on his back, meaning, you're putting a lot more on his back to carry that load. You've seen as the year went along, Tevin Coleman would start, Breida would come in, and then Mostert would go. Then even in the Super Bowl, Tevin Coleman was out there. Jeff Wilson took Breida snaps, and then Mostert was out there. And obviously running the football with Debo. But to make the long story short, it depends on how much money, but I would be interested to see what he would take and bring him back for that type of pay cut, just to see what he looks like in the system. So it's not a complete waste. Because this is his last year on contract, right? McKinnon's? Let's see. Oh, I had
He has 2 more years, this year and next year.
He has next year too?
Yeah.
He's not into a 5-year deal?
4. He missed the first 2 seasons of his contract. Next year's 3, and then the following year's 4.
Interesting. But yeah, like I said, it would depend on how much it would depend on what the pay cut is and how much the pay cut. Yeah, you're right. Damn, he's $4 million dead cap this year. We talked about that, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so he's an unrestricted free agent in 2022. It also, Kyle Juszczyk's last year of his contract's up this year too. So it depends. There's a lot. It would depend on what we need to do to bring other guys back or extend other guys, as to cut him and take the pay cut and save the money to put it on somebody else. Or do you take that, obviously Matt Breida's probably going to get is Breida a restricted free agent?
Mm-hmm.
He is, right? Because he was undrafted. So he's a restricted. I don't see Breida coming back though. I don't see him, and I think he can get paid somewhere else. So it'll really depend. It'll really depend. I'd have to wait until later in the offseason to completely answer that, but I'm not opposed to it right now.
I would definitely I basically would sit down and tell him to agree to rip up his current contract and give him like a new 2-year deal. I'd give him $1 million a year plus incentives. And I would simply say, listen, if you want to be a part of this, you made $14 million over the last 2 years for absolutely nothing. Okay, so you made your money. So if you want to be here, this is the way it's going to be. This is the way, this is the type of contract we're looking to do to keep you here. Especially with Breida being an restricted free agent. And I even think Jeff Wilson's a restricted free agent. So you have the ability, because of Kyle and Bobby Turner's philosophy, to rotate your backs and have a running back by committee instead of paying one guy a large sum of money to be your bell cow. I actually like this better. And if there's any way to keep the majority of our own restricted free agents, you have to do it this way. Juice, I actually think the team has an opt-out for this year before April 1st if they want to get rid of him. I don't think they will, but I would extend Juice. I would take his 1-year number, his last year of his deal, which is 2020, and try to stretch it 2 more years, possibly 3 more years, and give him a raise over the 3 years. So there's ways that this team could maneuver money. Allegedly, they restructured Quan Alexander's contract. They restructured Weston Richburn's contract. It was never officially announced. It was just pretty much hearsay through the beat writers, and the cap figures were not released. So it's going to be interesting. But yeah, especially with the chance of losing Breida, I would definitely keep McKinnon around with his speed. This is all pending he could pass a physical, because he tore his ACL 2 years ago. And this year, he had to get another ACL surgery. So that knee has to check out. And if that knee doesn't check out, the team moves on from him, and they take the $3-4 million cap hit. But if it checks out and he's able to perform, he's able to run, and he still has the speed, I'd bring him back.
All right. So that's the Jet McKinnon stuff right there, fellas. Now, listen, man, there's been a lot of rumors. Is there anything else out there that's going on that you guys have heard, read, seen, that you want to put to bed, you want to, bring up here in conversation? Let's talk about it. I'm going to open the floor up to you guys, and let's see what's going on. As far as me, like I said, I started it. I'm kind of over the McKinnon experience, or even experiment. I wouldn't even call it an experience. He hasn't done anything for us, but we'll see what happens if he takes the vet minimum and then all incentives. I'm okay with giving him the opportunity to earn up to $5 million, but you've got to earn it. You've got to cross 1,000 yards. You've got to be a Pro Bowler. You know what I'm saying? Like, we have to make the playoffs as a team, because playoffs equals more income because of ticket sales and all that stuff. So that can kind of be, that revenue can be earned through other venues. But I'm not just giving it to them. I'm sorry, I'm not. Were there any other rumors or anything like that you guys wanted to discuss before we got out of here? No? Nobody?
I saw one stupid thing on Twitter that said Robert Saleh might leave the Niners to be the head coach at Michigan State football. I was like, what? Michigan? Well, I guess the head coach retired.
So
or
Michigan's
something.
only hiring. So the state of Michigan can only hire ex-49er head coaches. Is that what it is?
Yeah,
well, he was a GA.
That's the thing.
He was a GA at Michigan State.
What's that?
Graduate to something.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he has some history there. So I saw that, and I don't know if I'd necessarily believe me. Obviously, I wouldn't. But that was the only really stupid rumor. But I said it. I said it some time ago on this show, and I know we're closing out, but I just want to say it again because it's crazy. I think if Brady doesn't find a team, I think Brady comes to back up Garoppolo in the Niners uniform just because he wants to be a Niner. That's my crazy hot take. I said that a long time ago. Give them in the Niners uniform and chill, and then we're good.
Yeah, I think that's out there, bro. But it's not that it's impossible. I don't think Brady wants to be a backup at this age that he's at. He's 42. He'll be 43 this year. I just don't see him wanting to sit on the bench behind anybody. Let me get a chance to go out here on that's if he returns to the NFL. He might not do that at all. So we'll see what happens. Let me pull up my notes here and see if I had anything else while you guys let me know if there was anything else you had. Stefan sent us something in the videos. Where'd it go here?
About the picture that was released?
No, he said, I won't be able to participate, but I've read that the 49ers will have a hard time retaining guys and will easily go 8-8 or below as the wheels fall off. I know we weren't going to get into free agency and things like that because that happens before the draft. But, Tony, you actually have the list of the names of 49ers free agents, right? Mm-hmm. So pull that up really quick. Let us know who those names are. And as you do it, guys, I just want you to count how many of those guys you would like to bring back.
All right, you have Emmanuel Sanders, Jimmy Ward, Jason Verrett, Garrett Selleck, Eric Armstead, Sean Coleman, Ben Garland, Levine Toilolo, DeMontre Moore, Jordan Matthews, Dante Johnson, Sheldon Day, Anthony Zettel, Ronald Blair. Those are all unrestricted. Our restricteds are Elijah Lee, Matt Breida, Kendrick Bourne, Emmanuel Mosley, Nick Mullins, Ross Dwelly, Jeff Wilson, Daniel Brunskill, Andrew Lauderdale.
Whew.
I got 11 guys.
You got 11? Oh, never mind. My number's not that high after all. How many do you have, Perry?
God, I'd have to re-listen to the list, but Sanders, Blair, Ward, and Armstead. I think Sean Coleman should come back. I think Coleman is. I think he would be worth coming back, even with Brunskill, obviously, and then Garland too, because it's hard to find solid backup offensive linemen, let alone even solid offensive linemen. So I would say those guys would be my priority at least.
I had 9. I had 9 guys on that list right there, and I thought that was really high. I'll be honest with you. I had 9 guys there, so whew. It's going to be an interesting offseason. That's a lot of guys to try to divvy up.
I want to hear what 9 guys you had.
All right, so Tony, run down the list again, and I'll tell you. I'll say him every time.
Emmanuel Sanders.
Yes.
Hold on, I'll mark this. If my pen works.
See, Mike's smart. Mike knows who to bring back.
Jimmy Ward.
Yes.
Yes.
Jason Verrett. Garrett Selleck, he's going to retire. Eric Armstead.
Yes.
Sean Coleman.
Yes.
Ben Garland.
Yes.
Toilolo.
Yes.
DeMontre Moore,
Yes.
Yeah.
Jordan Matthews, Dante Johnson. I'll put Mike down for that.
No, that was a no. That's a no. Don't
um,
use my jersey bias against me. No, I don't want DJ.
Sheldon Day, Anthony Zetto,
Ooh.
Ronald Blair.
Yes.
All right, so Mike, you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
Uh-huh.
Nick, you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7.
Yep.
I thought he had 8 of them. All right. So the one different one that we have is Emmanuel Sanders.
Yep.
And
Sean Coleman.
Sean.
right. I wanted Sean Coleman.
And Levine Toyolo.
Right. I don't know what Levine Toilolo's purpose is on the roster. So I did not want him.
Levine Toilolo was one of the better blocking tight ends that we had over Garrett Selleck and Ross Dwelly.
Yeah, I don't need him. It's just me, but that's my opinion.
Why Sheldon Day though? I'm curious.
interesting.
Why Day? Mike.
I didn't
Why
pick
not
Day.
Day?
I didn't pick Day either.
No, I'm asking why.
Why not Sheldon Day?
Why not bring Sheldon Day back?
Because he's a liability versus the run. And you saw it versus the Chiefs.
I think Ronald Blair is more versatile and you can do more with him in place of Sheldon Day. I know they don't necessarily play the same position, but you can move Blair inside and outside. Blair's a poor man's version of Armstead, and I'll take that.
And you got to remember something. Sheldon Day's playing a lot of snaps because DJ Jones is not there because he's hurt.
Mm-hmm.
He wasn't on the field at all when DJ Jones was there. This dude was horrible this year.
So, and this is where it gets very difficult with this roster because you have a lot of guys that are going to cost money, could potentially cost a lot of money. And there's a lot of tough decisions that are going to have to be made. I mean, I saw something today on Twitter where Eric Armstead was not in the starting 4 defensive line, and it actually did not look bad. What's that guy's name, Mike? I forgot his name. The Jack guy.
From what?
On Twitter.
Contavious Street?
No, he's talking about
Sakamoto?
He's talking about Ryan Sakamoto, yeah.
Yeah, he posted something today where he had the starting 4 as Bosa, Buckner, DJ Jones, and Ronald Blair / D Ford.
It's because Armstead clowned him on Twitter. Made him look stupid.
Well,
and then he blocked me on
if
Twitter.
Armstead's gonna ask,
so he doesn't like Armstead at all.
Well, listen, whatever happened between them, it happened between them. But if Armstead's going to ask for 15, 17 million a year, I don't know if it's feasible to bring Armstead back.
I'll tell you what, you guys may think I'm crazy, but I think that the depth that we had on this defensive line hurts Eric Armstead in free agency.
Absolutely. Especially that you're going to be able to get Ronald Blair at a discount coming off an ACL. You have Julian Taylor coming back.
Well, I'm saying for other teams to sign him because they're going to be like, this whole time with no help, he was nothing. Can he come here and turn and be the leader?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Is it a coincidence that Bosa and D Ford came to this defense and
helped him have that contract year? I really think that people aren't going to be throwing crazy money at Armstead this year. I don't think he's going to be as expensive as people think. To be honest with you, because of that factor right there, he had 4 years before that where he did nothing. Last year he started to come on, but you also had DeForest Buckner play a little bit better. You also got Ronald Blair was playing a little bit last year, which helped him. But then when you get Bosa and Ford and Buckner all on the same line, you saw on the top 25 free agent list, Eric Armstead's not even listed. Now that could just be somebody that's putting it there, doing the article, but you have to take all this into consideration.
Well, I think that's because maybe the first 5 guys were quarterbacks.
What's that?
The first 5 guys on a lot of these lists today for their top 20, top 25, top 50 free agents are Breeze, Brady, Phillip Rivers, all these guys.
Right. But I'm just saying, like, if you
mind that 49ers, good.
If I think about it as me personally watching this team, last year none of us would have paid Eric Armstead $17 million a year.
No. We were pissed that he picked up his 5th-year option.
Right. Mike, you can make your face. You were the only one, but 99.9% of the fan base.
I like him. But what I was going to say to your point, though, is that another disservice to him is that the 49ers misused him. This is what we saw with Eric Reed. Where does he line up? What's his natural position?
But that's not true because he's lined up inside and outside this year. He's still doing the same stuff. He's just got more help.
That's my point. Is that if a team goes to sign him, is he a true defensive tackle or is he a true defensive end? They don't know because he moves back and forth. And there's a big difference, especially when it comes to your specific scheme. I can't sit there and say, let's bring this guy in for this amount of money, and I don't know where he actually lines up better. You get what I'm saying? So
right.
Because the Niners use him in such a diverse way, we don't know what his true value is at either position. So I think it benefits the 49ers on bringing him back. Mm-hmm.
As in him going out to test the waters of free agency. Now you may get that one team that's going to pay him $20 million a year, but you're not going to have teams lining up for him to sign this guy and get into bidding wars. And I still think it helps the Niners and say, okay, well, somebody's offering you $13 million a year. That's your highest that you're getting. Well, you could stay here and we'll bring you back for $10 million a year. You know what I mean? Like
right.
For 2 years or 3 years, whatever it may be. And I don't know if this would be how he feels, but would you take the $10 million in an organization that you know is going upwards and you've been with them and you live in California or you're a Sacramento native and stay closer to your family, take that $3 million pay cut to stay with the team for 2 years and see where it goes from there? I think we're overthinking the whole, not us in general, but as a fan base, overthinking this whole Eric Armstead thing as in it's impossible to re-sign him. I really do. I think he's one of the guys that we go after this year, and I think that he may take that hometown discount type thing. And not a lot of people are going to be knocking down the door for him in this offseason.
We'll see. We're going to see what happens. Now, Nick, you were at 7. I was at 6. What were the remaining names on that list? And let's see where we differ on those, Tony.
You want me to do the restricted guys?
Yeah.
All right. You got
the guys that the Niners own the rights to. And so in order for a team to obtain them from us, they have to offer some sort of compensation.
Well, we tender them, and then it's up to the team if they want to sign into a deal and try.
You can only tender 2, right?
Huh?
You can only tender 2 of them.
I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. I think you can tender as many as you want because some of the guys that they don't even put a tenders on them because they know people aren't going to sign them.
Well, that's what I'm saying. You only get compensation if you actually tendered them, and I think you're only allowed 2, if I recall correctly. Because this is where we were getting into that conversation last year. Mike, remember the tag and the restricted tag, as in to get compensation. If you put a tender on, a whatchamacallit, you get that, and somebody picks them up, you get 2 first-round picks.
That's franchise.
That's the franchise tag, right?
Yeah, if you franchise someone and then you could transition tag them.
Right. That's what I was saying. I think you can only put maybe it's the transition tag.
Those are unrestricted free agents, though. I'm talking about restricted. Restricted, you could tender, I think, all of them. It's just what levels you want to tender them at. You got Elijah Lee, Matt Breida. Wow. Kendrick Bourne.
Yes.
That was one of mine.
Mosley. Yeah.
That was one of mine.
Nick Mullins.
Yes.
Dwelly. Jeff Wilson.
Yes.
Yeah.
Brunskill.
Yes.
I did say Brunskill.
Lauderdale. No. All right, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 for Nick, 3 for Mike.
Oh, so I actually had 12. Because I don't remember what I said with Dwelly. I can't remember if I picked Dwelly or not, but I would like to have Dwelly back. Or no, did I say yes to Dwelly?
No.
On that list, I didn't, right?
No one said Dwelly.
I may have said Nick Mullins, though.
I said Mullins. Definitely.
I like him more than I like
CJ Beathard.
Yeah, so I don't know.
So that's why I'm keeping him.
See, now, like this is like a perfect example right here, right? Now, you have the ability to retain Dwelly at a cheaper contract, and probably no one's going to really sign him. And I know Toyolo is a great blocker, but he doesn't offer anything else but blocking. So this is where the team could save money is by getting rid of Toyolo because he's 29 years old, so he's got to be at least in the league 7 to 8 years. So he's considered a vet, so the veteran minimum is approaching $1 million. So you could retain Dwelly and get rid of Toyolo. Now, when you look at Eric Armstead, he's 26. Okay. If we franchise tag him, depending on his position, it's either going to be 17 or 19. Am I right, Mike?
Yeah. Depends on which one he goes to. Yeah.
17 for a tackle, 19 for a defensive end. So if you're not 100% sold on Eric Armstead, you could gain that cap to bring back others. You could bring back DeMontre Moore, and then you could bring back Ronald Blair. And that could be your new rotation on the outsides with D Ford as well. So this is where the team's going to have to get creative and make decisions on, okay.
Well, you don't gain that cap because you would have to tag Armstead first. He's not officially tagged.
Well, correct. What I'm saying is that out of the $20 million that we have allocated right now, okay, Buckner is part of that $20 million. Eric Armstead's not part of that $20 million.
No, I think that's wrong. Wait, say that again.
Buckner is part of that $20 million because he's on year 5.
Yes, Armstead is
a free agent. He's not. Right. So you could take that $20 million and say, okay, Jimmy Ward, Emmanuel Sanders, DeMontre Moore, Sheldon, Ronald Blair. You could bring back Ben Garland as depth, Sean Coleman as depth. You can extend this one. You could maneuver that money to keep more pieces rather than one person. So, and if you franchise tag him, whether it's 17 or 19, depending on the position he goes at, that's 100% cap space. That's saying, okay, we're taking 19 out of the 20 because now we're franchise tagging him as a defensive end. So that's where it gets tricky with this team being able to move money, being able to keep players rather than a player. You understand what I'm trying to say?
Mm-hmm.
So I think they're really going to sit down and try to make a decision and a plan right now where how is this team going to benefit going forward?
I think if Justin School didn't have the year that he had, then Sean Coleman would have been back. But since Justin School took leaps and bounds to where he was in his rookie year, I don't think Coleman will be back. That's just my take on Coleman, why I wouldn't bring him back.
Wait a second. Why is Dre Berry saying the franchise tag does not count against the cap? That's not right.
It doesn't count against the cap until they either decide to negotiate a contract or let that in money.
Right. Obviously, he's got to sign it. That's number one. So if he signs it, it counts against the cap.
Yeah. You sign the tag, you're basically agreeing to not renegotiate.
Exactly. So Nick just made a good point about School and bringing back Sean Coleman. I don't know what you guys took from that press conference after that game with Joe Staley. And I'm just going straight off of the way he was talking and his body language. I'm not saying his play. I didn't say his play at all. But being 35 going on 36, it didn't seem like he's ready to come back another year. That's the way I took it. I mean, it could have been just he was really let down.
We also heard from Garoppolo before. I want to win the show.
He did not seem like he's 100% locked on coming back. So now, if let's just say, hypothetically, he retired, he decides that he can't do it no more, his body can't do it no more, you're going to get money back. And that's where you're going to have to bring back a Coleman. But it's not going to be nearly as the price as what you would pay for keeping or retaining Joe Staley. So there's a lot of moving parts right now. It's too early to talk about it because we don't have like definitive answers yet. But it's going to be interesting this offseason.
I think Staley gives it one more go. I think he was just completely.
He's making
devastated.
$11.5 million. I wouldn't be surprised if he said one more go. But hey,
Yeah.
Tony's right though.
He has 2 years left on the contract.
Bro, he looked like he was like, I'm done.
Yeah, well, that's how you
He
feel when
looked
you lose.
done.
Well, of course, I understand that, Nick, but you're talking about a 36-year-old who barely made it through a season with injuries on top of injuries. And when he was healthy, he played well. But it gets to a point where your body's like, I mean, like Brady's 42. He's a quarterback. He can play that. But the constant beating on his body, I don't know, man.
I think we also are forgetting
Makes you
that
think otherwise.
he contemplated retirement 2 years ago,
Bingo.
and he contemplated again this season when he was injured. He was like, maybe it's not worth me coming back. So that's 2 different times.
Wait. When did you hear that? I'd never heard that.
I read that on Twitter.
I heard him say that he was excited because he contemplated retirement before John and Kyle got here.
No,
And Kyle and John completely turned him around, and that's why he signed an extension this year, was because he wants to stay with this team now.
during John and Kyle's tenure, that 0-9 start, he was like, I am done. He was checked out and he was ready to retire. And John pulled him aside and talked to him and
After
said,
the first season.
right, whatever magic words he said to him, and Staley decided to stay on board. And then they were saying that he missed time, and then there was another injury right after or something like that. It was something that happened to him this season back to back, and I didn't remember what it was. I don't remember what it was, but something happened to him back to back this season, and he said he contemplated again despite the good start. It was like, if I'm a liability to the players out there, I shouldn't be out there. So I don't remember exactly what happened. I don't know if he had 2 injuries back to back. Did he come back for a game and then miss more time right after that?
He had the broken leg, then he had the hand, and then he got hurt in the Super Bowl.
He had a broken finger.
No, but this was during this. What I read was during the regular season. It wasn't during the Super Bowl. But it alluded to something being back to back. Like, I just came back and I got injured again.
Yeah, he had the leg, and then he hurt the hand versus Seattle.
He hurt the finger. He broke his finger.
So the game he came back in, he got injured.
Yeah.
Okay, and that's when I read it, that he thought about maybe I'm being, a liability to the team. Like, I'm paraphrasing. See, Anthony, I remember. It's like I'm not giving the exact words, but it was, maybe I'm costing the team and I should just sit this one out and let them continue.
I remember him saying something about that, but he was saying how he still feels that he can help this team. And that's like what I took from it. I remember that. That was like, I don't know, week 7 or 8, week 9, whatever it was. But I don't remember him. And like I said, I'm like, I could be wrong. I don't remember him contemplating it this year. Like I said, I think he probably comes back maybe 1 year. I don't think he finishes out his contract, though. That's just my opinion on it. I want to see if this information is true, because Dre Berry keeps saying, from the information I just looked up, franchise doesn't count.
Well, he's got to sign it.
Against
Once he signs it, they apply the tag to him, meaning they hold the rights. And then he has a date. There's a deadline where he has to either extend by this deadline or he's stuck signing that tag. If he doesn't sign the tag, he doesn't play. Or he plays only on the 1-year deal. If he doesn't sign it, he sits out. It's kind of like what's his name did
Melvin Gordon
with Pittsburgh. No.
Melvin.
No.
It just happened with Melvin Gordon too, though, in the Chargers.
Melvin
Gordon
Gordon
want to play under
Bell.
the tag.
What's his name? The running back
And Le'Veon.
for the Le'Veon Bell. He did it. Melvin Gordon did it. You have the ability to slap the tag on somebody, and it doesn't hit your cap ASAP. It hits by the deadline, whether he decides whether to sign it. And the minute he signs it, your cap better have 19 million on it, or else he's not going to go through. You're going to be over the cap, and you're going to have to sign. You're going to have to release somebody to make it fit.
Yeah, I'm looking it up now to see what it is.
All right. Well, I'm going to run, guys. I know you guys are looking stuff up, but I'm going to get out of here. I have a long day ahead of me. I want to thank everybody out there.
We can come back. I'll just talk about it next time. It's not a big deal.
Oh, okay. I just know I'm beat. I got to grab something to eat. I got to be up early in the morning, so I want to get out of here now. But this has been an excellent show, one of many. Guys, this is going to be a long off season. There's tons to talk about. There's going to be rumors to dispel. There's going to be some things that come true, some things that are way out in left field. Anything from Mike Florio and PFT, probably way out in left field. All right, so I wouldn't take any stock into what they're saying over there. They're just throwing stuff on the wall to trade Garoppolo so you can get Tom Brady crowd. It's
Jimmy G's. Let's put it to rest right now. Garoppolo's going nowhere this year.
Yeah,
sorry.
I think it's safe to say that he's not going anywhere. It'll be interesting to see which guys we can retain, which guys we can't. I'm not sure about the tendering of guys and which guys we can't tender, but we will see what happens, guys. And we're going to keep you all abreast of that information right here on Nothing But Niners. So make sure you guys hit that like button, hit the subscribe button, and turn on your notifications so you know exactly when we are breaking it all down. Guys, make sure you check out the website also. It is www.nothingbutniners.com. Perry has an article that is going live later this evening, if I'm not mistaken. Right? Yes. Perry's latest article will be going live, so you guys make sure you are tuned into it. Breakdowns, man. That's what we do here, man. So we appreciate everybody out there. On behalf of 49er Faithful 365, Perry _49ers and NJ Niner Fan 499. I want to thank you guys for checking us out. Fellas, any final words? Nope.
There's a reason why Garoppolo was supposed to be the heir to Brady's throne. All the slander about Garoppolo needs to stop. Has to stop. If one of the greatest coaches of all time is but basically wanted Garoppolo to be there for the next 10 years before the trade, Garoppolo is the answer.
I agree with you, man. I agree with you 100% and wholeheartedly. And people are it's a tough pill for them to swallow. Even Brady got hated on. You know what I mean? So it's going to be something that happens. It's going to be something that we're going to have to deal with here at Nothing But Niners. We're going to have to continue to combat the nonsense. Those are the things that we're going to have to deal with, and we can't let these things discourage us or the fan base. We're going to have to continue to make sure that we hold it down here and just keep everybody, like I said, keep everybody motivated. All right. So, guys, let's take this one home. Prepare for glory.
Anticipate pain.
But always remain faithful.
We out of here. Peace.